What up, gamers? Happy Thursday for everybody watching, or Friday, or whatever day of the week that you have tuned in for this epic modern battle between Hardened Scales and Hollow One. It has been a while since we've featured Hardened Scales on the channel. Last time we saw it was in November, so I'm really excited to show you guys a newer, updated list of Hardened Scales, because we really were starting to see the Simic Hardened Scales list start to emerge right around that time. A lot of that was for those, like, colorless shenanigans and counter spells and things like that, but we are seeing a couple of other tools get added into it. Mox Opal is back in the meta, so that does help bring these artifact-based decks back up, and we already see, like, the affinity style, dump my hand, play a Hardened Scales. We've got a Mox Opal, we've got double protection here with Welding Jar, so it's going to be really interesting to see. Of course, it does have the combo potential of being able to be super explosive out of nowhere, do a lot of sacrifice shenanigans with Arcbound Ravagers, so we're going to see if that does come to fruition in this match. On the other side, we have Hollow One. Hollow One, of course, is that all about drawing and discarding cards and really cycling through things. A deck that did pop up a lot more in popularity and get a lot more legs thanks to the unbanning of Faithless Looting. So I'm really excited to see how these two decks battle out with each other. We do have a couple of camera shakes and stuff like that in this video, which I apologize for. We're, again, still working through our camera setup. We are making lots of improvements for the stability of it. It's just the occasional bangs and shakes. People might accidentally bump into the table that we have the camera equipment set up on and things like that. But we are already going to see a little bit of super aggressive play. Let's try to get some surveils in here. Let's try to bolt the face, do things like that. But thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm NanMans, of course, and we have finally hit our big milestone of the year, right in time for, I guess, the Lunar New Year, if you will, right? The 1,000 mark. So we did it. Thank you to everybody that is tuning in. Much love. I'm glad you guys like the modern content. I'm glad you support the channel. We really appreciate it. We are working on filming a unboxing, doing some sealed stuff there, so stay tuned as we post up our video about that. But in the meantime, this match is really getting underway because we're going to just improvise and tap all of these artifacts to get this Kappa Cannoneer onto the battlefield. And this is another big reason why players are testing out the Simic version, is for things like this. This is a super powerhouse. Like, if you think that there are game-ending big creatures, this is one of them in Modern right now. And we're going to just, like, flood. Let's dump. Let's try to race here. Hollow One player is throwing out, of course, our Bowmasters. We got bolts flying across the table, and we know that there is a clock right now that Kappa Cannoneer, every time an artifact enters, it gets a +1 counter and becomes unblockable. So all these little blockers that we've got here are not going to be very useful. Also, with the Hardened Scales turning those 1 counters into 2 counters every time, it makes it really difficult. But Nethergoyf comes out. Do we have a Detective's Phoenix so we can go for some hasty stuff? Not looks like we do at the moment. Surveil will do a Faithless Looting, so maybe we'll find one here. That could be really powerful. So, of course, draw 2 cards, discard 2, does have that flashback potential, so it helps out. And then every time, if you're running Dragon Rage Channeler, be mindful of those Surveil triggers, right? Yeah, if you need to place dice on your deck, things like that, the little nuanced things to help remind you, do that. Help yourself learn the decks until it becomes second nature and just kind of muscle memory of, like, okay, always remember my triggers, do the things. No Phoenix thrown into the graveyard here, though. But we will be able to swing for 3 because we have to. Dragon Rage Channeler, when Delirium's activated, we do have to attack each combat if able. And then they just do a little life total check here. Both the players just confirming, hey, I thought I had you 15, then I bolted you, did this, and yeah, yep. Life total checks out. Both players are accurate. 9 to 19 here. We get a little bit of a untap. Now, that's the thing. It's like we really just need, I guess we could just make a construct, worst case scenario, the way things are working out, because we have the 2 mana with at least the Mox. But, oh, Zabaz is going to be nice. Get 2 extra counters there. Zabaz, modular, trigger off Hardened Scales will get us 2 counters. So, there we go. Zabaz, of course, Spider-Man meme each other. One disappears. And we'll move those modulars over here. and will become an extra one because of the Zabaz. So then that ends up being 4. So what are we at? 10, 14 damage. Hangerback Walker for the price of for free. That'll get 2 more counters. Oh my gosh. And then we can activate Agatha's Soul Cauldron. We'll remove this, put 2 more counters on it. So 12, 13, 14, 18. All right. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, maybe. 19? Math is hard. Maybe I missed a point here. I don't know. Regardless, the Cavern Cannoneer just flooded that turn and was like, yeah, let's go. Let's go. That's crazy. Like, that's the new age version of Hardened Scales in action. Is like, you got so used to seeing, like, okay, Patchwork Automaton, slow build up, and when you remove Patchwork Automaton and just go, well, I have Mox Opals and I've got all these like 0 cost artifacts. I'm running 1 cost stuff like Drum that might not be as relevant later on unless I have like an Arcbound to sack a bunch of stuff to. You can just like pivot into, hey, I've got explosive early stuff, but really it's all about getting this Kappa Cannoneer and going from there. So let's see, post-sideboard, how do these players respond? Hollow One's going to be digging through their sideboard, finding some options here. And starting off with the Dragon Rage Channeler is always a great turn 1 play here. Now, if you have the option of, like, you have a turn 1 Faithless or a turn 1 Dragon Rage Channeler, always try to go for the Dragon Rage Channeler instead of the Faithless on turn 1, unless you had like Hollow Ones or other things that you're like going to try to cheat in. But like the whole thing is you want to set up as much surveilling and looking at the top of your library as possible, and by placing the Dragon Rage Channeler out there first before you do a Faithless looting, it basically lets you dig and look 1 extra card and potentially put something like a Detective's Phoenix into the graveyard, or put a land that you might not need into the graveyard. So it gives you a lot more looking potential there. But already we see setting things up here. Botanical Sanctum, Bridge, or not Bridge, the Drum, Springleaf Drum, Welding Jar. So seeing some of our 1/0 cost artifacts here. There's the Faithless on turn 2. So that's what we were talking about, right? Look, pitch a card we don't need, draw 2. Let's see what else we can work with in our hand, craft something worthwhile here. And also trying to assemble some Delirium afterward. No, pitching another land. Not happy about. Looks like we're getting a little flooded. But there's the Phoenix that we were hoping to find. So that is really nice. Hardened Scales. We get the Beseiju. Now, how do we respond? What are we going for? Again, it's like a lot of setup. Hardened Scales is great. Things like Hardened Scales, Odolith, stuff like that are going to be really important, like setup pieces. So Hardened Scales has kind of pivoted from that, let's explode as much, to this kind of, all right, let's do a lot more setup. Emery's coming out here, so we get, of course, that self-mill and can start casting artifacts from the graveyard. And whoa. All right, looks like Ozolith was milled and 3 lands there, but Bolt will be coming down. We're going to start trying to clear the path of creatures here, it looks like. Yeah, clear the path. I was like, go for the Emery here, but I guess the Zabaz is good to go for as well, knowing that it can be a little bit scary. Surveil triggers, all that fun stuff off of that. But now we've got instant, sorcery, land, and creature, so we do have Delirium and enchantment, I guess. So we had Delirium before, but Delirium is online. All right, so now we're in the debate. Checking how many cards our opponent has. Hardened Scale players sitting with 2 cards in hand. We've got a Lightning Bolt. Looks like a sideboard Meltdown here. And Nethergoyf as our 3 cards. So, yeah, Lightning Bolt, Surveil Trigger. Keep that on top, whatever it is. So we're happy with that. So how explosive do we want to go? Looks like we're fine just to kind of poke in for 3 and just sort of pass. We've cleared a lot of the big things at the moment. We'll probably just drop our Nethergoyf as well. Yeah, there's the Nethergoyf coming out. So we will be able to kind of have at least a pretty big, beefy boy ready to swing in on the following turn. Yeah, 4 or 5 right there. Ooh, Agatha's Soul Cauldron's pretty powerful because we can start eating our Detective's Phoenix and stuff, so that is nice to be able to have access to a little bit of extra hate and removal. Agatha's Soul Cauldron surprisingly good in current meta because of all of the Graveyard Matter decks. You know, there's things like the grinding station. There's people that are playing living end. There's people that are playing, you know, frog-based reanimation like we saw last week with our Demir Reanimator. So, like, there's a lot of graveyard stuff, especially, like, just the Hollow One deck. Like, using things to weaken the Goyfs. Like, yeah, more and more hate, the better. All right. Looks like we turned off Delirium because it's land, instant, sorcery. So, yeah. Swinging in for 4 damage here. We'll get a fetch. What are we fetching into? Basic? Are we fetching for a shock? Looks like we go for the shock. So, dropping to 17 here. Giving us a chance to, you know, have all the mana we need. We don't have the Detective Phoenix, which is fine, but we could cast that Faithless Looting from our graveyard if we wanted to, or just use that Meltdown. We're at this nice little spot here, so of course that will pop our little bit of protection here to keep that alive. Agatha's Soul Cauldron is able to stay alive through that, but it's a big commitment here. Walking Ballista, Hardened Scales helping it out for 2. Let's eat this. Now up to 4. It says, do you have Delirium, Sorcery, Instant, Land? So we can start shooting down some of the creatures. Alright, there's still another Goyf that we've got to worry about. But we are starting to stabilize a little bit more and have a little bit more flexibility of, yeah, we're at 3 power. We don't have any other way to grow our Ballista at the moment, but as long as our opponent doesn't have a removal spell, Fatal Push, Lightning Bolt, we should be okay here. All right, let's start cycling the Street Wraiths. The digging mode. We're all... Another one. Why are they always buddy up, huh? I feel like in all of our Hollow One games, whenever somebody cycles a Street Wraith, they're cycling another one right afterward. Oh, we did get the push. Okay. So that will elicit a response. Of course, let's just boom, boom, boom. I'd like to shoot you. Any responses? No. I'd like to do this 3 times. And there's the swing over, dropping our Hardened Scales player to 8, giving them a chance to... I mean, at least with the Agatha's Soul Cauldron still around and the Walking Ballista in the graveyard, that does give us some potential lines that we can look for. Not having any draws worthwhile. Yeah, it looks like another Soul Cauldron in hand and something else. Is that another Kappa Cannoneer, maybe? All right, we're cycling the Hollow One, which works out great. An artifact and a creature going into our graveyard. Yeah, get rid of the Hollow One. Shrink him down. Yeah, so that, of course, just grew the artifact. There's already a creature in the graveyard. You can see our Hollow One player. That is one of the nice things is if you're playing against some Hollow One players, or at least players that care about Delirium, you notice they'll start separating the graveyard into piles to make it as easy to read as possible. And like, oh, here's my pile of creatures. Here's my sorceries. Here's my instances. Here's my land. Guaranteed. You easily can look at it and go, yeah, there's Delirium activated. All right, we're down to 4 life, so the Hollow One player is trying to close out the game. Let's throw this Detective Phoenix bestowed upon this. And here is 6 damage total. So even if you start eating stuff, there's enough cards in the graveyard that there's no real way to slow down. I guess maybe there's that one instant, so you make it into a 3 power, but it still gets the +2 off the Phoenix flying, so that's 5 damage to tie up the game 1-1 here in this best of 3. Oof. Close match, close match. The Meltdown's paying off really well there, so that was that kind of one thing to note is how powerful Meltdown is, because you can just kind of wipe the board there, and you're saying, hey, anything that costs less than this is destroyed. Welding Jar doing mad work and being able to help protect, and I'm wondering how many we're up to. Are we up to like 3? 2, definitely. We keep seeing the 2. but maybe up to 3. Maybe you have one more on the board. Who knows? All right, debating. Are we keeping ours? Tapped breeding pool pass. So no turn 1. Oh, an 0-1 Nethergoyf. So no Dragon Rage this time to start. So that kind of gives us maybe a little bit of info. Ah, okay. Agatha followed by the Welding Jar. That's great. That's the kind of smart of I don't need to play my Welding Jar on turn 1 for nothing. I don't have a Mox Opal or anything that I need to turn on. I can just kind of make sure that I don't get blown out over something or something silly happens and I lose all my stuff. Let's just kind of wait. All right, Faithless Looting going to be activated here. Draw 2, discard 2. No Dragon Rage Channeler to help us surveil, but that's all right. Looks like an Arena of Glory in hand. Those are always good to hold on to. Get some great explosive plays. The haste effect does matter quite a bit with the deck, especially we've seen it on the channel with bringing Nethergoyf back from the graveyard with haste is relevant. Being able to cast some Dragon Rage Channelers with haste is relevant. So, like, there's keeping that Arena of Glory in your hand is important. Even if you're looking a bit like, oh, I'm kind of flooded or something like that, prioritize keeping the Arena of Glory. Yeah, this is the biggest choice thing for a lot of players, too. It's like sometimes there's a lot of easy choices where you're just like, yep, okay, no problem. Boom, 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 pitch these. But some of them become a lot more decisive and where you really have to be in the tank a bit more. And so we go for the Phoenix. And yeah, I guess that was the debate, right? Whatever creature or spell we're throwing into the graveyard is going to get eaten by Agatha's Soul Cauldron. So waiting, debating, right, on what to drop in there, that's part of it. So Goyf is a 2-3 here. We've got a land and a sorcerer in the graveyard, so 18 all between the players. Oh, what do we follow up? Oh, another Goyf, number 2. Let's rumble. All right. Ooh, a lot of good choices here. Can't take the Rumble. We have to take a permanent. We get an Eldrazi spawn, Ozolith, Botanical Sanctum, and a... Is that an Arcbound, I think? Yeah, Botanical Sanctum, land for turn. Which I'm on the hunt for signed copies of Botanical Sanctum. If anyone's got the hookup, let me know. Got to get that Infect deck fully signed. We will be seeing some Infect on camera again soon, so stay tuned for that. All right. Street Wraith. Where's the second one? Right? We know they like to hang out together. No second one. That's fine. Okay. Don't have Delirium yet. Faithless Looting. We had a Dragon Rage Channeler, it looks like, in hand. But maybe we were just kind of looking for another line here by keeping it back for now. Oh, there's a Meltdown. Are we trying to melt down here? No, because we would be a land short. Because we want to hit the Soul's Cauldron, or try to, so we got to pay at least 2 into it. So right now we have sorcery, creature, and land. So we could throw a Dragon Rage in there if we wanted to, but I still like the idea of holding it and utilizing Arena of Glory with it. So the debate here is like, what do we pitch knowing stuff's going to get eaten? Another Faithless Looting and a Phoenix. I'd like to bestow this here. Collecting Evidence 6 to do that. That means that we got to get rid of our Street Wraith. We got to get rid of one of our Faithless Looting. So that was our setup here. Arena of Glory. Eat the Bloodstained Mire. So they are 1 powered. And, of course, Detective Phoenix gives it +2/+2 in flying. So 3, 4 total damage. But wait, before damage. It says you're at 18 right now. Yep, okay. 4 cards in hand. We're checking to see. Bolt the Eldrazi spawn here, which grows everybody 2 extra power. Drops to 13, 5 total. So instead of the option to bolt face here, you could go a little bit racier, drop them to 10. But blowing up the Eldrazi spawn or forcing them to just sack it, right? Whatever, it's all the same. It dying might mess with their mana and what they have planned. But they have 4 cards in hand, and essentially untapping with 4 mana makes it really scary for what they could do. So being able to try to shut them down and slow them down is makes sense, because it's, you know, yeah, we lose out on 3 damage, but I don't think it's going to matter that much here, because, again, we're trying to force them into setting up a bunch of stuff so we can hit them with a meltdown and try to blow them out. But after the way it worked out game 2, it seems like our Hardened Scales player is being much more conservative. Walking Ballista for 1. No Hardened Scales here to kind of make things scary. So we're feeling okay as a Hollow One player, untap. And yeah, we can't really get our Nethergoyfs as big and scary as we want, right? They're 2 power right now. Soon to be a 1 power if that instant gets eaten. So it's like, what can we throw out here to really get our Delirium going? We have a Faithless Looting. We could always activate that from our graveyard. I mean, if we melt down here, yeah, so we're going to do the meltdown for 2. Forces Agatha's Soul Cauldron to stay alive. Walking Ballista will shoot for 1 in response. Eat Walking Ballista. I still like the eating the bolt and then just leave your opponent with a bunch of sorceries. We check through our graveyard. Oh, what is that? Arcbound that we're... Yeah, it looks like Arcbound Ravager we're hovering. So this is also telegraphing, based on what things are looking like here, it's like... Okay, yep. Put a counter here. Alright, 2 damage to the Hollow One player. So yeah, just a little bit of extra damage. Boom, boom, boom. Meltdown resolves. Don't end up really losing too much. I guess we get rid of one of our protections. So that means that if there is another meltdown to follow it up, we don't have the protection to help us with Soul Cauldron here. Alright, 4 mana now. Down to 8 life. Ooh, improvise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exactly for the Kappa Cannoneer. 4/4. Ward 4. Not killing this big old Ninja Turtle. Technically, it's a 5/5 now because, you know, it does get that +1 counter when it enters. We do have the flying, though. So if we can find a way to grow our Goyf, maybe we can get it up enough. So, flashing back Faithless Looting here. Still have 3 cards left. Ugh, scary. Okay. Yeah, what do we got? 2 Dragon Rage Channelers? Okay. I don't know. I guess it's like Arena of Glory, Dragon Rage Channelers will just get eaten, right, if we play them. But getting 2 out with haste, swinging in, 1 gets eaten. That's still 2, 4, 5 damage, dropping our opponent to 3 and giving us an out of top decking a Lightning Bolt there. Or flashback Faithless Looting, pitching. I mean, I don't think we're going to get our Goyf to be up to 5 to, like, be a 5-6 here based on... I mean, Agatha's Soul Cauldron is down, right? So we ignore that line. We just say, let's just push with what we have. 4 clean damage. Oh? Destroy all artifacts with mana value 3 or less. There we go. Brotherhood End. I like that sideboard card. That's sweet. Because you can either, like, deal 3 damage to a bunch of stuff, or destroy all artifacts with mana value 3 or less, which, when we're thinking about relevant artifacts in Modern right now, that's a lot of them, with the exception of Kappa Cannoneer, but, oh, hey, doesn't matter. We have another Agatha Soul Cauldron. All right. Trigger. We're up to 6 power right now. Ballista for going to be exiled. Put a counter here. So we got to be able to Arcbound Ravager, trigger, Lightning Bolt. Just hear that scream from across the room. All right, so Arcbound Ravager. Let's do some math here. Sacrifice Arcbound Ravager. Well, do we have any 0 costs? Like, do we have any moxes or anything we can also dump? Nope. So Ravager is going to be sacrificing to its own ability. Modular moves this counter here. Swinging in for 9. Dropping our opponent down to 5 life. And we still have the Walking Ballista. And we'll remove all 5 of those counters to do it. So yeah, oh look. So there was the Dragon Ray Channeler there. There was the Bolt. Ooh. But, I mean, it didn't matter, right? There was exact lethal right there on board. And so that's the thing about this Kappa Cannoneer lines is, like, once it lands, it's going to be closing this game down. So you have to be able to kill your opponent before they get to do this on tap. It's like you have to adjust the way you play Hardened Scales now that you have the Kappa Cannoneers because you're holding back a lot of your tools until that's online. So then you can do something crazy. Where previously you would dump a lot of your tools out early because you're going for these Arcbound lines or these Ink Moth lines or Walking Ballista lines. And so this opens up new avenues and new lines for Hardened Scales players, which is really cool and really exciting. Very close game between both these players. I hope you guys enjoyed this match. Again, we're going to be doing a special unboxing of Modern Masters 2017. Hope to see we'll get some fetch lands, some Snackcaster Mages, some other fun stuff there. So stay tuned for that video coming up, as well as all new games every Monday and Thursday. But that's going to do it for us. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching, everyone, and I'll see you all next game.